Happy Sunday, everyone, and welcome to the Aussie OCR podcast. We're up to episode 106, and it's been a minute since my last podcast. I think my last one was with Robin Costa about a year ago. Things went a little bit quiet for COVID. With the recent kickoff with events, I thought it was time to get some chats happening again and get some Spartans and Australian obstacle racers excited about things coming up and different events that are happening. I thought a perfect way to do that today was bring on somebody who I've had on as a guest a couple of times with the Chat with Matt series that ran and then was rebranded to Aussie OCR. Mick Stuart, he's the new head of the Spartan Hurricane Heat Krypteia, the new Australian head. I think I fucked that up. Anyway, he recently put me through my paces at the recent Gold Coast Hurricane Heat. So I thought I'd bring him on to chat all about that and just talk about what a Hurricane Heat is, why you should care about it, and why they're exciting. And Mick, I'll try to unmute you there. Can we hear you?
Yeah, hey.
Hey, buddy. What's going on?
Nothing much, mate. How are we doing today?
Fantastic, mate. It's Sunday. It's beautiful on the Gold Coast. It's hot. A little bit too hot. It went straight from winter to summer in about 6 hours. But it's good, mate. What's going on? Are you down in Tenterfield?
Yep. Just my little slice of paradise away from everything.
Beautiful, buddy.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So, mate, I'll just get a little bit of housekeeping underway first. We do have a couple of guys jumping on the live. So, as I've just put this little ticker across the top of the screen, we would love to hear from you guys. This is an interactive chat. I obviously do have a couple of things that we are going to cover over with Mick, but you guys also steer this conversation. Now, just like you can see Donna Veering's comment on screen, she's given me a hashtag live. So please go ahead, give me a hashtag live if you are tuning in. Give me a hashtag replay if you are catching a replay later. Now, if I bring you on screen like that and I can't see your profile picture, it means you might not have signed into Ecamm Live. So if you could go ahead and do that, that means I'm good. The app that I use is going to be able to pull your data. I can see who you are when you comment. If I've got a heap of anonymous people in my comments, I have no idea what the fuck is happening or who's talking to me. It gets very confusing, so I tend to skip over those comments. So please log in to Ecamm Live. But we do have Donna, Sam is here. Dora Beckett. No, same Dora, but we've got a profile picture. I don't know why that happened. Sean Lusham's here. Andrew's here. Oh yeah, Sean's here now. So these guys are obviously logging into Ecamm, which is beautiful, mate. What I might do is just jump on the Facebook page. Just make sure this is streaming and looking all good. As I said, it has been a minute since I've done a podcast. While I do that, Mick,
good.
Tell us who you are, mate. For those who don't know.
Yeah. I'd be surprised they didn't know, but yeah, Mick Stuart, head Krypteia for Spartan Australia. Recent father. I've been with my dad for the last 7 months, and that's been great. And just general nice person, depending if you get me before or after the Hurricane Heat.
Definitely not during.
Oh no.
You're a bit of a dick at about 10 at night on Saturday at the Gold Coast.
Oh yeah.
But I did give you a hug afterwards, mate. It was all good after that. So, mate, you said you are the head Krypteia in Australia. What exactly is a Krypteia, mate?
So, Krypteia is we're the guys we run the Hurricane Heat. So that's your Hurricane Heat 4-hour, 12-hour, 24-hour. Basically, we run those events. In the time of Spartan and all that, the Krypteia were known as the teachers or police. They're still not 100% sure. That trained all the young Spartans to become the warriors that they are. So we're basically, I think it was the teachers, because whenever people come to the Hurricane Heats, we call them students, and each one is called a class. So that's the simplest way to do it. Is we teach people the true definition of getting comfortable with being uncomfortable.
And it's good, mate. I'm a massive fan of the HH. I've done a couple in Australia, a couple worldwide now. And as I said, I did do the recent Gold Coast Hurricane Heat with a heap of lunatics. Mate, Jim Bullard's probably going to smash my nuts with a hammer, but which number was the hurricane at the Gold Coast? I forgot.
Hurricane, what, the class or the total number?
Yeah, what the class?
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
The 23.
23. So the 23rd
Yes.
Australian Hurricane Heat. How long's it
Yep.
been going? Yeah, I'll try that again. How long has it been going on?
Oh, I remember. That's a hard one for me, even though, like, because again, when it started in the first Hurricane Heat, I should really know the official date, but yeah, the first Hurricane Heat actually only started because it was during a hurricane. They had a hurricane warning and an event over in the States, and so they were going to cancel it, and all these people showed up. So Joe DeSena, being Joe DeSena, decided to make them all do some stuff, and then next thing you know, that's a Hurricane Heat. And we have been doing that ever since. So I think that was real early times. Oh, sorry, Jim. Yes, you're right. Australian class is 023. Yeah. He's keeping us count.
Us.
I
2016.
love having him on there.
023. He said what the
2016.
fuck that I forgot. I'm definitely going to get a hazing next time I see him.
Oh yeah,
which is
absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, mate. So it was actually in a hurricane. I can't remember where it was. I want to say St. Louis. Sounds familiar. But yeah, basically there was an event on. Got cancelled, and he said all you lunatics get out here and let's move some sandbags around and help with the floods, and the Hurricane Heat was born. Now it's a confusing thing. Like when I talk to people about what I do, and I'm almost always wearing Spartan clothes, so people say, "Oh, what's Spartan race?" It's hard enough to explain to people why I want to run 21Ks in the bush, jumping over fences and climbing ropes and shit. It's an even more uphill battle when I'm trying to explain to somebody what a Hurricane Heat is and why the fuck we do it. How would you break it down? Say you've got a minute to sell somebody a hurricane and talk them into joining. How would you go about doing that?
Hurricane Heat is, well, to me, I'd just say Hurricane Heat is what the true spirit of Spartan is. Where the race celebrates the individual success, Hurricane Heat celebrates the group's success. People coming together, realizing for your elites who want to, your alpha dogs that want to live big, move well, they end up trying to take on, like yourself, a leadership sort of role, helping people, like you did with Brendan, which was great. It was great to see him. For others, it's like they get to learn that it's okay to ask for help to get through a challenge, and even by doing that, everyone comes together. As we did with this one, you saw at the end there was a few people, even yourself included, thought you weren't going to get a dog tag, and then everyone came together and everyone was successful.
Why didn't I think I was going to get a dog tag?
Because you had you had a broken goanna.
So we're talking about the
the new ones.
Yeah, the new dog tags that you got for completing the heat. And you said that I had a shit goanna, which is going to be confusing to everyone who wasn't there. So run us through what that happened without giving away, the actual heat itself and exactly what we did. What does a typical heat look like?
Typical heat, well, that's the beauty part. You don't know what a typical heat looks like now because they're different. They're a little bit different than last time. My predecessor, Rich, used to do a bang-up job, doing great. I'm bringing my little flair to it now, changing some things up and having fun with it. As we did this one, it was you had a soap bar, you had to sculpt a goanna out of. And then look after that soap bar for the entire 4 hours. And by the end of it, I think there was a few people that did not actually have a passable goanna soap. And that's the other thing about the Hurricane Heat. Everything's earned, even from your shirt to your wedge to the dog tags. The majors work for every little bit. It wasn't just because you got through the 4 hours. No. And yeah, that's what I loved about it. There was a lot of There was some ugly looking goannas, I'm not gonna lie.
Mine was okay until I put it in my bag, wrapped in a, I think I wrapped it in a towel or something, and put it
Yeah,
in my bag. So basically, I'll break it down for people. Um,
yeah,
Throughout the course of the hurricane heat that we attended on the Gold Coast, class 23, um, there was a mission. There was a mission
yeah.
that we had to get completed. Um, the main mission was to obviously get everything completed throughout the heat, but we were told to bring a specific gear list like you do with every hurricane heat. So there's always gear that you have to bring. There's your standard stuff. So there's your packs, there's your utility knife, there's paracord, duct tape, a marker, stuff like that, a Sharpie. So there's always typical stuff that you're going to bring to a heat. But then usually there's a specialty item or two um, that I always see on the gear list a week out and think, how the fuck are they going to torch me with this specific item? But your specialty item was a bar of soap, and one of the mission that we had to accomplish throughout the heat was to carve that soap into a likeness of a goanna. And what was the significance of the goanna, Mick?
So the goanna is is a totem creature for Bundjalung. I'm part Aboriginal, and we were actually on Bundjalung land at the time, so paying a bit of respects to ancestors and elders and all that by making sure, because with the Aboriginal totems, whatever your totem is, you can't eat it, you have to protect it. So you guys had to create a goanna and then protect it.
Yeah, and it was cool, mate. So throughout the challenge, you're doing all sorts of physical activities. You're doing lots of burpees. You're learning teamwork. You're messing the teamwork up. You're learning to correct that through more burpees. Um, Stuff that people will be familiar with if they've come to my boot camps or done one of your boot camps. But throughout, basically, the better you completed these tasks, the more time you would get for yourself um, to then spend on your goanna. And mine was going all right until all the legs fell off, and then I just had a snake. But we did end up getting a dog tag at the end, which was pretty cool. What was your favorite part about the heat on the Gold Coast?
Um, I was one of the things was when or one part what I liked was when Duff grabbed the my goanna that I had sit on the table to show me.
Hmm.
Because as I always said, you had to show me a soap goanna
Yeah.
and that. And he gave that in, and then everyone was like, "Oh wait." So then suddenly the teamwork really bonded, realizing what was being said the entire time.
Yep.
You must show me a soap goanna. That's where everyone came together. I thought that I love that part. The other one was when we had yous on the buckets resting. That was it. You had to rest on stand on the buckets, and we got used to do some breathing, learn about not apologizing, and put a little bit more mental to it as well. Some more takeaways. I thought that was magic. That's why that photo I put up on my thing with the blue light that just looked. That was epic. I love that point. That was especially because that bucket one I think was probably the worst one for you guys that had a
The
physically demanding.
the bucket was pretty disgusting. Um, so for a little bit of clarity, Jim has just said that sorry, the hurricane heat, the first one was in Florida, September 2015. Um, During Hurricane Irene, it was so shit. He said when Hurricane Irene threatened, this comment's going to be a bit too big for the screen.
Yeah,
When Hurricane Irene threatened the East Coast and forced Spartan Race to shut down the Sunday Amesbury race in Florida in August 2011, athletes, staff, volunteers, and crew were devastated. We are Spartans, though, and we weren't about to quit. After some creative planning and 9,000 emails to set up the logistics, more than 150 Spartans showed up at 5 a.m. that Saturday morning to tackle the Amesbury course with Spartan founder Joe DeCina and Spartan employees. Little did the brave runners know they would be put on teams with strangers, forced to carry sandbags and do 30 burpees at every obstacle, whether they got through it cleanly or not. But they did not toil alone. Alongside their teammates, they forged Spartan bonds of camaraderie and teamwork. This is the heart and soul of the hurricane heat. It was in these hours of pouring rain, sandbags, obstacles, and endless burpees that the hurricane heat was born. Beautifully said, Bull.
Can't say any better. Yeah.
Yes. So there's your background. And Wendy Jansen saying the hurricane heat might have been a little bit small. They actually, I think they actually had some good numbers, and due to the beast course being a fucking absolute killer, we had quite a few no-shows.
Easy.
And I've not shown up to hurricane heats before after Savage races, so I can relate.
Yeah, we brought you out of retirement. You hadn't done one for almost a year. You hadn't done one for over a year.
It had been a little while. It had been a minute. I didn't forget. I got about 10 minutes in and went, oh yeah, this shit's difficult. No, it was good. And mate, what I want to do is just give people a little bit of context about who Duff is for anyone who doesn't know.
Yeah.
So, Brendan Veering is one of my clients, Donna. It's Donna's son, and Brendan has a condition called PWS, Prader-Willis syndrome. So we've been racing with Brendan for years. We've been taking him around courses. Anyone who's joined us in a party wave would have met Brendan. Anyone active in the Spartan community has probably seen and heard from Donna or seen us on course. So I wanted to see if we could really challenge Brendan, get him out of his comfort zone. So I contacted you prior and said, look, I want to take Duff through a hurricane heat, and I'll just bring him on screen actually for you guys. So this is Duff here, got it done. This was our, oops, what am I doing? It's been too long. I forgot how to use my own tech.
Yeah.
So this is our finished photo. Duff in that bottom left corner there, and I'm just going to see if I can find another couple of photos of what was going on. Yeah, basically Duff needed a little bit of help to get through a lot of the obstacles. We did need to change some things. We needed to make it so that he was set up to pass, which means a few allowances had to be made. And you guys did that. You guys did that really well, and you can see Duff and I. We at one point, and I'll explain this evolution to people. So right at the start of the heat, we did a little bit of hazing. So you basically turn up, you check all your gear in, you make sure that your gear list checks out, and if your gear list doesn't check out, you are punished accordingly. And this teaches resourcefulness. It's not cruelty. It teaches you to be resourceful, which is a good fucking skill. So after we're all checked in, we do a little bit of exercise, a little bit of hazing, get the blood going, make people realize that they're in for a long 4 hours. Then you moved us over in a forced march over to one of the creeks. We did some exercise, so we're all a little bit puffed out. I don't know, we're probably 20 minutes into the heat, and you guys, Mick, you explained what the soap was. You explained what we were going to do with it, why it was important. So at this point, we're all sort of formed up in ranks, and you said you've got to carve this goanna, and you showed us a carved goanna that you had, and we've got a bar of soap, we've got a knife, we've got to sort it out. So he said, all right, you're going to get a chance to carve your goanna. So what I want everyone to do is bang out 15 burpees as fast as you can. As soon as you've done your 15 burpees, you're going to run down into the creek, which was down a pretty treacherous little hill. We're going into one of the deeper creeks there, and anyone who was at the event knows that it was pretty fucking hairy. Some of those creeks, it was slippery as hell. So we're running into the creek. It's night, we can't see shit. We had to go into where Bull had sectioned off a deep part of the creek. We had to fully submerge ourselves in the creek, then come back out, run out, and it's like 7 at night. The creek's pretty fucking cold. we had to run back out, and then we would get maybe 60 seconds to start carving our goanna. So at this point, we're wet, we're cold, we're fucking puffed out, and then 60 seconds pass, and you're like, all right, 15 burpees, run down to the creek again, and then come back, and you might have 90 seconds to carve your goanna, and then burpees again, off you fucking go. You know, and it was chaos, and you can see me there in the creek, holding Duff's hand, trying to get him in and out of the water as fast as we could, so we could come back and get his soap carved. And God love Duff, this was his soap goanna at the end. He did well. Do you have the goanna handy by any chance, mate? Did it survive? I thought it might be something on your desk. Or did you wash
No,
yourself?
it didn't survive, unfortunately. Yeah, I basically just used it in the shower.
Perfect. Yeah, so it was it was straight in, no kissing to start. It was pretty intense from the get-go. But mate, thanks again for making the accommodations to make sure that everyone could get through that hurricane heat and get it completed. And that, to me, is the spirit of the event. And it's the spirit of the industry as a whole, to be honest, mate, is getting everyone over that finish line. But that explanation of what we were doing it and how we were doing it, what we were doing and how we were doing it, is chaotic. And it's intentionally chaotic. There's a reason why things are structured the way they're structured. Can you explain why?
Why they're structured the way they're structured? Oh, basically.
Why there's the organised chaos.
Well, in the end, life is chaos as well. But it's all about developing diversity through different levels. Currently, we like to use what's called like the warrior ethos and stuff like that, which basically help teach you lessons. Now, those who know the warrior ethos, they know the warrior ethos. If you don't, you need to come to a hurricane heat to get to know them. But we use it our 4 little elements to sort of help that I believe you can take away into everyday life. And we structure it so, as you said, the first part is complete chaos. So we start physically breaking you down, making sure your body's already in a state of, this is up. Because when the body starts going, the mind starts, that's where the mind's going to take over. And for some people, this is where the mind can start really going straight. Then we chuck other elements in. Basically, the whole design of a hurricane heat, when I'm doing them, is to have someone come in as the one, but leave as the group. And that, like, there's people come in no matter how fit, no strong. The hurricane heats is about you bringing what you're best at to the group to achieve the overall goal. And like, yeah, having Duff there was a perfect example. We made you take at least an extra half of what he couldn't do. So you were getting him through as well, because it was a team effort. And then I believe Andrew helped out as well a couple times as well. So, everyone was helping out everyone. By the time we got to the second evolution, everyone was realizing this is not a me, this is a we. And that's what I love about it.
Yeah.
I've had people that usually do hurricane heats end up making a lot more connections with people and friends out of it. And not to mention, having Duff there was a perfect example, People always think they've got to be certain fitness, certain speeds and all that when it comes to a Spartan event, but the hurricane heat is about mainly this and being willing to ask for help when needed, or give help when you've got the chance.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if you're the fittest or the slowest. It's all about the mind.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, you go in. Like I went in. I always go into hurricane heats with the intention of doing as much as I can. And I'm lucky. I'm a bigger, stronger guy. Hurricane heats are geared towards me and my strengths. I can carry weight. I can carry weight for a long time. Except those fucking buckets. Fuck you, Mick. But I knew that I was gonna. I knew that I always go as hard as I can, and that usually means going back and helping the people at the back. But what was really and I knew that was going to be the case when I went in with Duff, and I was happy to do that. But it was really touching when everyone else came back and helped as well, because there was a point where we had to carry the Spartan buckets. I don't know how long, kilometers. We had to do disgusting things with those buckets, like stand there holding them out like this and doing squats and
Show me
doing
your bucket.
overhead presses and all sorts of disgusting shit. But at some point I hit a breaking point. I think I was carrying 2 buckets and I just couldn't fucking go anymore. And the whole crew was getting further ahead. And I think it was Andy who ran back, and shortly after other people started to come back. It's one of the things that I really like about this style of event is it does take people who are maybe a little bit more individual focused and realize that it is a team, and these leadership qualities develop, and are encouraged to develop, and when you are put under stress and pressure, you really see what people are made of. You see cracks start to develop and weaknesses are exposed, and people get grumpy, people get irritable, but it's through I guess the shared adversity that you're able to better yourself and become, maybe work on those weaknesses and fix them. And I'm a really big believer that hurricane heats make better humans. And I've raced, all over the world, and I've met people all over the world, and where I've gone and done hurricane heats, I'm still connected with these people from years after. We still comment on social media. You when you go through some tough shit with people, it creates a bond, which is Navy SEAL training. It's all that type of stuff. It's that shared adversity is going to drive that teamwork. So how are some of the ways that you engineer that? Like from a planning standpoint, how do you go about getting that outcome?
See, that's the part I love about this whole thing. To me, the planning's great. It's like writing music, but when you see it executed on the day, sometimes a note you thought was going on a piece of paper sounds better, might move a little bit and have a greater impact. And that's what I love about these things. When I write the plan up, I'm thinking, how am I going to execute it? Like, where do I want it to flow? What's going to happen? And also try to get it. So I put myself through these hurricane heats myself. Like, I literally, that soap goanna, I was practicing that about for 2 weeks straight, every 3 days here in the cold at the tennis field over at the swimming hole.
Mm-hmm.
And that, just to see like what sort of things are going to come up. What goes through my mind when I'm doing these things by myself.
Mm-hmm.
So then I can gear it for more. I want to gear it so I really want to impact people like myself who might be like you, bigger, stronger, not so fast on the course, but when it comes to these things, they can give a helping hand. They're a good body, a good workhorse, and the mind comes in, they help others. So I literally think of I make notes to myself when this, and then I test them out with others. But in the end, it's literally it's really hard to say, because even when I come up with these ones, because I try to make each one so unique, I have to get myself in a bit of a state, and usually I don't realize what I've written down until I've gone through it all and tested myself and seen the magic on the day is when I know it all. I don't actually know all this thing completely worked out well till I see the end of the day. Because the individual, we have such a broad community that come to these things. And that you've got like yourself, very physical and stuff like that. You've got people like Sam who, if you saw her, that you just think every day, but she has the sharpest mind. She's passed some of the most intellectually hard hurricane heats I've ever seen. She's one of the biggest. Yeah. Like I remember the last 12-hour we did down in Bright. Yeah, now this is the 12-hour. We're standing on the side of the mountain, and it was so bloody cold. I was standing there. At one point, I was talking to myself, and just standing there. And they were coming up, and there was Krypteias up the side of the mountain. We were giving them one little statement
Mm-hmm.
that they had to remember. If they remembered all of them and they got to the top, they got like extra points and stuff like that to go towards getting their 12-hour patch.
Mm-hmm.
She nailed every one. I believe it was like, would have been 6 or 7 different statements. One starting off very small till mine, which was even huge enough. I had trouble remembering. I had to keep pulling out my phone going, okay, it's that. Yeah, remember that, remember that.
So it was like
stuff like that.
it was like a memory test type
Yeah,
challenge. So I did
yeah, and
that
she
in
nailed it.
I did that in Spartan, Hawaii. I think when we were going up the hill, you passed a fucking big sign, and it said using your race number, you're going to work out your number with the code, and that's going to teach you a sequence of letters or a sequence of words, and memorize it. And then 5Ks later, you went past a volley, and they're like, what was your code? And if you couldn't tell them, you had to do 30 burpees. And I'm like, this is fucking cool. That was
Yeah,
actually during a race, but you get shit like that in a hurricane heat all the time, and it promotes mental flexibility and
yeah,
plasticity, right? And as you say, you get people who maybe aren't as physically gifted, who really shine in those tasks and can keep a cool head under pressure, and they are able to get the rest of the team through with their strengths, which is really cool.
yeah.
What was when did you do your first hurricane heat?
I believe it was 20. Would have been 2017 out at Ivory Falls, and we're still in Brisbane.
Ivory Rocks.
Yeah, Ivory Rocks one. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that race. That was good. That was good. That was
That was one.
the
Ultra was out there.
terrible ultra loop with the
Yeah, that
7X
ultra loop got
over the
me.
walls and
I
stuff.
DNF'd on that ultra loop, and then the next day I had to come back and back up on do a hurricane heat, attend my very first hurricane heat, and also, yeah, then that, which was sucked even more because you had bloody Shane Yosti there just putting us through our paces wearing that ultra shirt, and I was like, I'll get one of those.
Yasti was a good
You
dude.
know? Oh, mate, it was. But that was actually, that's what made me fall. One, if I fell in love with hurricane heats right then and there from that moment onwards. One, because I'm a big dude. I'm 6'3". At my lightest racing, I weigh about 105 kilos. I did. Now I'm currently 125. There is no way I'm a competitive, no matter how fast I run and how fast I got myself, I'm still carrying a ton of weight for some reason. I'm not going to keep up as an elite racer. But when it comes to a hurricane heat, I'm a workhorse. I had so much fun with this one. I remember one dude, he was about 100, he said he was 130 kilos, and we had to carry, in groups of 3, we had to carry up this hill. It wasn't, carry your comrade up the hill. Now, the person that was with me, the bigger person, and then the other person, their back was starting to go. They were through 2 hours. I said, fine, I got it. I chucked this big dude over my shoulders, full on fireman carry him, and I took him up there. And while my partner, the other guy that was with me, got to just help a little bit in case he fell off. But yeah, and that's where someone like myself, we shine, because adversity and hard work is what I love about it. So that's where, to me, it was like, and then having him at the end of it, this is the one thing I always remember. He came up to me at the end of it and he gave me the biggest hug, and he was just like, I never would have gotten through that hurricane heat without you helping me.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about it, because I get people coming up to as the Krypteia. I'm trying to push people, but I still want to see people succeed. So I do come up and give the words what they need. I like to try and give them words to help get them through. And the amount of times people come up to me at the end and go, at the start, I just thought, I'm going to have to quit. But what you said really helped. And they still message me. I've had a person from about 2 years ago still message me saying how they use those words every time they use those words that I spoke to them at the hurricane heats before COVID to get through the COVID issues of isolation and stuff. So that's what I love about a hurricane heat.
That's a really nice little tie-in, because one of
Yeah.
the things that I the main fucking thing that I like about Spartan racing in general is sport. Sport is a good like analogy of life, right? Like it's hard, and you have to go out there and you have to be uncomfortable and you have to do tough things if you want to succeed. And it's doing those tough things that creates that resilience that then helps you with life. That's unfair as fuck, you know. Things happen. Things happen that you don't want to happen. People get made redundant, you know. Loved ones die. Pandemics happen, and having that resilience is what's going to get you through life. And I think obstacle racing as a whole is such a fantastic engine to drive those changes in people. But the hurricane heat, I think, is really that distilled. Is That's exactly what you're there for. You're not there to finish first. You're there to um, become a tougher human. And it, it's something that's changed me. And being a coach in this industry and getting people into Spartan, you know, I've had similar experiences to you. But really, the clients that I've talked into hurricane heats and usually have to bend their arms a few different ways to get them to do it. The gratitude afterwards and the change that you see in those people. Um, you know, just in their life afterwards, their mindset, their outlook on how they tackle life's problems is so much better. What have you found, or how has the hurricane heat personally affected you and your mindset?
Uh, well, one of the things, again, the resilience of it. But to me now, it's especially with my new position as the head guitar, I feel like I'm never alone. There's always plenty of people if I needed someone to chat with, to help me through certain ideas, just discussions. I mean, perfect example, Jim Bullard. Now he is. I will always first person I'm calling when I'm doing a hurricane heat is him. Are you coming? Not only just because I respect him, not only because he's like OG, like he's done more hurricane heats than me. He's done death races. He's way equipped in what he does, and he
Mm,
knows a lot. He's really great at helping move the needle with people's minds.
hmm
But also, I had a really great time experience with Bull out at Enduro 24 hour. That one I went down for. I went in with a lot of mental baggage that ended up seeing me break down and cry, completely lose me shit and stuff like that. And out in the course, we were running, we were talking. I was able to tell him my story, and he shared me his. And just because we've had those, if it wasn't for the hurricane hit, I don't think I would actually have known Bull as much. Because originally when I first saw him, I thought he was a little intimidating. But it wasn't through until hurricane heats I got to know him, and he's my go-to. I'm happy to call him up for a chat anytime, and that's one thing the hurricane heats has made me really feel is that I'm never really alone because there's always the communities out there to reach out and give you an ear to lend you an ear or give you a hand if needed.
mm,
And that's one
yeah.
of the biggest things I think I've taken from all of it.
Mm. Learning to learning to lean on people is a big one, and Jim Bull is a beautiful man with not very beautiful feet, but he's eccentric type. But once you get to know him, he's got an absolute fucking heart of gold, and you know I've seen him consoling many a DNFer over the years and giving them
Mm,
choice words delivered at the right time, which can be all the difference. And one of the comments that I just saw that sort of speaks to your last comment
yeah.
from Wendy. Asking for help would be my problem. I would hate to be the last one that everyone is waiting on. That's the only reason I've never done HH, even though I know it is a team event. It's it's I personally feel that is a limiting belief. Like I think if you're always trying to do everything on your own, and that doesn't mean I don't think independence is a good thing. because you shouldn't be reliant on anyone, but knowing that we're all so much stronger together, and you can have, the whole becomes more than the parts when you can rely on people. And when you go into a hurricane heat and you do have somebody like a Mick Stuart who you can say, can you hold my fucking sandbag? Because you're stronger than me, but I'll do the memory test because that's my strength. As a whole, the unit gets through faster and better.
Well, the funny thing about that is that comment about the whole don't want to be the last one and stuff like that. But that's the funny thing about a hurricane heat. There's no firsts.
Yeah.
There is
Yeah,
no
I've
first. No
tried to win
matter.
them. You can't.
Yes, there is no firsts. There is merely the ending, which is the beginning.
Hmm.
And that, as Jim will tell everyone, will tell you at each hurricane heat. But there is no first when it comes to a hurricane heat. It's all about the objectives you're trying to achieve, and the team, bringing everyone. Even if you might be the slowest one, you think you're the slowest one, you're giving your teammates the chance to pick themselves up, be better, and help you. Without that opportunity, they can't be better either. So all of it plays a part.
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of love for people telling Wendy to do that hurricane heat. I'm going to message you direct, Wendy, and tell you to do a hurricane because it's it'll change your fucking life. It's real good. It's real good. I speak very highly about them to everyone I talk to. Probably too much. Um,
Yeah, I
Jim's
believe
saying
that
that.
dinner we were talking more about the hurricane heat that dinner before the event than racing.
Oh, the catch up at
Yeah,
on the Gold Coast, yeah. Jim's saying no plan survives first contact. That's absolutely true.
absolutely.
But you still need a fucking plan,
Hmm.
or you should have one. Otherwise, it's chaos. So I'm just seeing if we've got any questions. I'm not seeing a lot of questions, guys. So anyone who is watching, there's quite a few of us online. Let me know if you do have any questions for Mick, and we'll get to them. But Mick, who would you say the hurricane heat is for?
Who would I say the hurricane for? It's basically for. It is for everyone. I will say that. That doesn't matter. It is for everyone, but it's for the people that are. It's for really trying. If you want to try and find yourself better, you want to see. You want to really get to know yourself a little better. Because, as I said, there's so many levels to it. Whereas, like people who come in with their mental baggage can realize you've got a team to help you. It can be sometimes a stranger can be the best person to talk to because they don't know your life story. So you can actually tell them parts that you don't want to tell someone else because that person knows that person,
Hmm.
and that's why, as I said, when I was talking to Bull, that was great for me because he didn't know the people I was talking about, so he was able to get it all out, and that happens. But it's also great for your physically gifted or your elite trainers, stuff, your alphas and stuff like that, because we have a lot. I've seen guys come in here, and I believe I've made one person not get their tag because he did not help. It was all about the me, and this is what I love about it. If you've physically been able to do it, you've got to show some leadership and help. And this is what I love about it. Is like, yeah, if you're at the front of the line, you get to the back of the line and help push. So, and that's why I think it's for everyone because also it takes away that whole. Like, don't get wrong, I love going for a cheeky race and all that sort of stuff, but it takes away that whole, what was your time? How many burpees you do? Well, everyone's going to be doing the bloody burpees. How many, how fast you are, it won't matter. It's either 4 hours, 12 hours, or 24.
Yeah.
No, there's
I
no quick.
Yeah. I when I pulled up at the Hurricane on the Gold Coast, I was getting out of the car, and there was a guy there, and he was doing his first hurricane, and he said, "Oh, mate, have you got the gear list?" And I said, "Yeah, it went out last week." And he said, "Oh, mate, I didn't get it. I didn't see it anywhere." I emailed him, and I think he emailed him a day or two before, and Spartan would be getting hundreds of emails a day or two before the race. But so he didn't have the gear. And I said, well, you're in trouble. I said, look, I've got an extra bar of soap here. Take that. Here's an extra red marker because I bought a couple. So usually always buy a few extras. And he goes, oh, what are they going to do if I don't have the gear? And I said, well, if you're really lucky, Bull might have somebody who'll give you some. I said, look, you didn't just forget or didn't have time to go get it. You've got a pretty good reason. So you might get a little bit of sympathy. But I said, the absolute worst thing that they're going to do to you is punish you. And they're probably going to punish you with burpees or something equally distasteful. And he's like, oh, what, because it was his first. And he said, oh, what are they going to make us do for the hurricane heat? And I said, well, the worst case is probably 4 hours of burpees with packs on. Anything backwards from that's pretty much a win. And he was just like, fuck. But it's that's the mentality I go in with. Like, it's just going to be an absolute ass kicking, and they're going to get you to the point where you're uncomfortable, and then they're going to hold you there. And that level of discomfort is different for everyone. But it's such an interesting thing to try to explain to people why we get out there and do that. And you are mentally tough. You're a super mentally tough guy. I think the photo that I shared with the promo for this chat was you running the recent Gold Coast Marathon with you took your mum. How old's your mum?
70.
70. She just did her first marathon.
Nah, that's like a third one, but that's her first one. She DNF'd her last one.
Sure.
About almost 5 years ago.
Yeah. So your mum wanted to do a marathon, so you took her through it, and I think your photo was you running probably right at the end of the marathon, like this. At
that was probably in the first half. That was at the first half of the marathon. Actually, that was a really great experience for me. That one. I went with no training. I think I ran 5 kilometers 3 times before that event.
Yeah.
Because I just had a baby girl, and I was doubling down on the being a dad and stuff like that, and taking on those stresses, which I wasn't ready for as well. Some of them, you have the plan, and then you go to execute the plan. The plan fails, so you throw out the plan. And of course, I had planned to be training and all that and be ready for it, but I went into dad mode, and I don't regret it. It was great because the experience I got from going through that, being underprepared, undernutritioned. Like, I didn't take any nutrition with me. I think I had a YoPro yogurt. That was breakfast going into that marathon.
Cool.
And as I'm, 125 kilo dude, so I burn a lot of energy. I'm not a friggin' Prius or a friggin' Tesla. I'm a big old diesel engine sort of. I need a lot of fuel.
Engine that could.
Yeah, and so everything was cramping, everything was hurting, and I think just after that photo was taken, my dad took one of me coming over the bridge, smiling ear from ear, because it was some straight up pain suffering, and it felt amazing to know I was alive again. Feeling all that, being able to put it, because when you're at the edge of discomfort, you can really, you either keep going or you quit, but in the end, that level of discomfort, not everyone will feel every day. So you feeling that right now is a great moment to take in. And to me, that's what made the rest of it so much more fun for me.
Yeah. And that's, I think anyone who's gotten over a Spartan line knows that feeling. Anyone who's gotten through a tough course, anyone who was at Spartan GC probably knows that feeling deeply. But as we've said, it's that feeling crystallized is the hurricane heat. It's that's exactly what you're going in for, and you're going in almost without the bells and whistles. You're going in without the race photos and without the medal and without you get a little bit of bling and you get a shirt, but it's not like podiums and stuff. Like, it's not as it's deeper.
Even your prep is all different for a hurricane heat. You get a gear list. You don't know what's happening. Whereas, with the races, you'll have the map. You get the map. Everyone we always get those, when's the map going up? When's the map going up? You don't get a map for hurricane heat. You get a gear list, which I always find is great due to the fact that everyone, like I said, the soap bar. I had people come up to saying, "Oh, I'm going to have to eat this thing or something like that." Everyone automatically thinking they're going to eat soap. I was like, wow, okay. No, but not telling you. And that's the beauty part about it. The gear list is like okay, this is what I need. And then the imagination comes in. What the hell are they going to get me doing?
Mm-hmm.
And what is going on? Like, what are we going to do? I remember one year Rich made everyone carry cans of dog food. And at the end, and then at the end, they donated the dog food to a shelter, to an animal shelter. But the whole time,
So
everyone was worrying what they're going to have to do with this dog food. And that's the beauty part about it, is there is a whole level of surprise because you're only given the tools, but your imagination's what's making what either has you sweating bullets when you start up or questioning whether to what you're doing. Yeah.
And it's I love the dog food. It's so intentional, and it's so you're literally trying to get people anxious. You're trying to get people to fret and worry and go to that worst possible scenario, like people thinking they're going to eat soap. Like that's what I like about it, because if you can identify those trains of thought and realize when you're having them, you have actionable steps to fix them and change them. And often the way you perceive the discomfort of something is worse than the discomfort itself. So most people would be familiar with, say you're trying to get into running and you're not a massive running fan. You know, often it's just getting started with the run that is the difficult part. Once you actually get into it and the endorphins go, you actually feel pretty good. And you usually feel pretty good after a run, providing you're not, training through injuries or doing anything stupid. But often it's getting past that initial, no, I don't want to go running. I know it's going to hurt. I know I'm going to be out of breath. I know it's going to be hot. Like it's that the fear of the discomfort and the anxiety of it that's worse than the actual doing the thing. And hurricane heats are just about taking action and learning to push through no matter the anxiety. The fucking dog food. There has been some stuff that people have been made to do that hasn't been great.
Yes.
Oh
yeah.
but I will say in fairness that anything that the Krypteia get you to do during a hurricane heat, they would definitely do to themselves. And the same can be said for anyone who turns up at any of my boot camps and does some of the weird shit that I get people doing. I'll do that shit to myself. And I've said this before with you, Mick, coming on my podcast years ago. That challenge that you put yourself through in your mate's gym, where you had 24 hours with the blindfold. And can you explain that one to people?
So I did. Yeah, the challenge was 24 hours in a little fit stop gym, no music, completely blindfolded for the whole time, an hour on the assault bike, an hour on a powerless treadmill, and an hour of burpees, repeating for the full 24 hours. So basically 8 rounds of that stuff. That was something I came up with, and I did it as a fundraiser for Mates for Mates. A nice little service that helps return with vets transitioning out of service life to civilian life. That was just something I actually. The funny story about that was when I came up with that, I literally just wanted to do it. I wanted to see what it'd be like taking away my main sense, not having sight, and just be left with no distraction of music, nothing to take me away from being in that moment of discomfort. And then when I put it out there as a fundraiser, got a lot of support for it. It was great. But that's the thing I tell about these people, and I tell my clients that I coach as well. I say, don't worry, you're not going to do it, and the hurricane, you're not going to do anything I'm not willing to do. Problem for everyone is I'm willing to do some disgusting stuff.
Exactly. That's why I bring the story up.
Yeah, you came down to get that log from me, and you saw how big that was before we cut it down, and I used to carry that around for funsies.
Hey, that fucking log. I think I'm going to make it into some furniture. It's still sitting on my front lawn. I think I'm going to carve it into some side tables or something. I don't know. Find somebody who makes furniture. But But yeah, it's you know, there's a reason. There's a reason that you're getting these guys to do these very difficult things, and it isn't sadism. It's there's intent. There's intent when you do those difficult things that you
Yeah.
by choice you ready yourself for the difficulties you didn't choose. We do have a couple of questions rolling in now, which is good.
Oh, beauty.
Jim Bullard, who says, "Leave my feet out of this."
Yeah.
I'm just looking at him, mate, in my comments. I just see just pictures of your feet everywhere. That's not his comment. That's the one I wanted to
Yeah.
bring up. Jim said, "What is the minimum requirement you need to do a 4 hour hurricane heat?" So, say somebody's thinking about signing up. What would you say is the minimum fitness requirement?
Minimum fitness requirement. What you do is, it's really simple. You download the gear list and you get the gear and know what that gear's like. Carry that. If you can walk with that, and you can make it to the front door, and or the event. Go for it.
Hmm.
Because even just showing up, people that have not finished hurricane heats have still learned more about them in those moments.
For sure,
Yeah.
for sure. I've learned more out of failures.
And that's so I'd say the minimum requirement is just be able to get the gear list and be ready to show up.
Hmm.
I mean, it's just getting off the couch might not be your best decision to complete it and be successful with it, but you'll still gain some success out of it mentally and personally. And in the end, that's what the hurricane's about.
Yeah. Mate, I'm 100% with you. I think that there's utility in everyone doing the hurricane. I honestly think even if you're not into the racing, there's utility in the hurricanes. Let's say somebody is a little bit more cautious, and they have maybe done, say, a Spartan sprint or a super. They've just struggled through it, and they've thought, I'd like to do that hurricane, but I don't think I'm fit enough. What would you say if you had to compare? Because this is sort of how I go about it, but
Yeah.
I'd like to hear your words. Like, say you had to compare it to, say, a race, what would you say would be a fair comparison for how difficult the task is?
I like to say if you've done a super, you're good to go.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
would
I'd agree
probably
with
be
that.
my best one. Um, Depending on sprints, some can be quite challenging, some can be not so much, and depending on how you tackle the sprint,
Mm.
it could go either way. But if you've tackled a super, you're good to go. You're good to at least get through it.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I say either a super. I say if you can get around a beast course, you'll smash a hurricane. Um, but I would say if you can get through a super, you'd probably be able to as well. So it's understanding that when you sign up for, say, a super, you have to go that full 10Ks. Um, you do, providing you're doing a competitive wave, you've got to do your burpees. Um, a hurricane is, as we've said, they're going to get you to your physical limits and probably your mental limits as well. But that limit changes for every person. Like, as much as you're trying to keep everyone completing the task, and you're making everyone do the burpees. If there's people who just can't keep up, you let things slide. You don't enforce it like completion 100%. You're a good coach, and you know when somebody's at their limit or when they're taking the piss. Um, so they're not gonna in a hurricane heat, the Krypteia and the people running it and helping it, they're not gonna get you to do things that you can't do. They're gonna get you to they're going to get you right to the things that you can't do, and they're going to help you find where those limits are. I heard a really interesting thing that Bull said. It's not the first time I've heard it, but during the hurricane on the Gold Coast, somebody was struggling, and said, kept
Sorry.
dropping something, and said, "Oh, look, I'm sorry, I just can't keep up." And Bull said something to the effect of, Don't say sorry. Say, I can't carry this anymore. Thank you for helping me find where my limits are.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really powerful thing.
Well, that's what I love. That's what I love about that stand on the buckets and get to drumming that part into you guys about the sorry, because we hear it a lot, So I hear it in daily life, but you should never apologize. And we were telling her, and then we told all the whole class, never apologize for trying. All right, you should never apologize because you're trying to do this or you're trying to do something. Okay. Bulls, I love bulls on. Don't apologize for being late. Thank the person for being patient. And that. That's one thing I really did like about this Gold Coast one when we brought a bit of that in as well, because that was, even I took a bit more from that as myself.
Yeah, it's I mean, you can say these things, platitudes, I think is the word I'm looking for. You can say these things, but when you're in the event and everyone's at their limit and they're gassed and they're fucked and people are 2 hours in and they're going, I don't know if I'm going to get through this. I think I'm going to pull out. And then you get those messages driven into you. You have these moments of like breakthrough where you're like, oh fuck, I get what this means. Like I understand it. And that's the shit that sticks around long after you finish, which is really cool. So Andy Nob said, will we see a Hurricane Heat trifecta weekend one day? Mick Stuart.
Well, I can announce that in March and April, there will be a weekend Hurricane Heat event. We'll have all available Hurricane Heat options.
Fuck. Yes. What was the date?
It'll either be in March or April, I believe, roughly. Still finalising it, the details and everything like that. But there is strong talks, and as anyone who knows me, if I want to get shit done, I will get it done. But yes, there is. That's one thing I can announce, that we are planning that in March, April. No racing. It'll just be Hurricane Heat. So all you people that don't normally do these because you're worrying about race times and all that sort of stuff, I want to see is all there.
Yeah. So standalone Hurricane Heat, no racing. This is a perfect opportunity for all of those guys who say, I'd love to do a hurricane, but I'm there to race Sage Cat and I want a podium and I don't want to cook my legs for a race the next day, or whatever the reasons are. This is a perfect time to really come and see what this is all about. And I'm fucking super excited for that. That's really good news. And I only found out myself 5 minutes before we went live because I said, "Is there anything you want to raise?" But yeah, that's so cool, man. So Jim's saying, "Be careful what you wish for, Andrew."
Yeah.
Nobsy's saying, "Don't tease me with a good time, Jim." Jim, it's not punishment, it's retraining. I'm just gonna try and dance through these comments just to see what the reaction to that was, because
I will say though, if you love the idea for the 12, 24 and that, or even this 4 for this weekend on its own, better make sure you get to one of the other ones first. Because if this weekend on its own is going to be some of my best work.
Yeah, cool. So if you're thinking about that, then try and do a 4-hour either in Gippsland or Gold Coast. Gold Coast May, so it probably wouldn't work. But Gippsland, is there a 4-hour at in Victoria in February?
I don't. I think there is one there's one in Victoria as well. Yep.
Cool.
There's one.
So get to that, guys. Give it a go so that you know what you're walking into, or just do what I do and just sign up for shit. And sometimes you don't succeed. But yeah, if you can do a 4-hour, do that first for sure. And Donna said any chance of a 12 or a 24. So can you be a little bit clearer about what that weekend might look like? Would it be all three of the events? It's okay if you
Definitely.
can't.
I can't guarantee all three just yet. As I said, I'm still new to the head role. So I'm learning to get the information of what I need for it as well. But there is at least the 4 and the 12.
Yeah, which is cool. Which is really
and
cool.
We haven't had a 12 for a while, so everyone better be getting ready on that one.
Yeah. I know that you are obviously very early in the planning and talks about that event. So I was going to be going over to Boracay in December for a H3X event, so a 24-hour, which I believe is cancelled now. But the way that I saw they were running their event was interesting. Did you know about that? Did you see it? Okay. So to my understanding, basically it was a 24-hour event. It was a 24-hour hurricane heat, but you could sign up for the 4, the 12, or the 24. So like if
The
you sign,
HH3 how it's run. Yeah, I've seen that one. Yeah,
so
you can do
explain that to people.
So the HX3 is a really interesting concept. You can start out with the 4, or you can set yourself up for the 12 or the 24. Now, everyone does the 4 together. And if you've only said, I'm doing the 4, at that time, you get your badges. You get your dog tags, all that sort of stuff for doing the 4 hour. But you also have the option to sign then and there to do the 12. It's provided you've got the gear. So then you go, but if you've signed up for the 12 or the 24 off the bat, you don't get the other badges until the end. You only get it. You get all of them at the end. So you're committed to what you commit to. Whatever you commit to, whatever your first target was, that's what you're committed to.
So you're saying if you buy, say you commit to a 24, you have to do that 24, but if you were to buy a 4, you have the option of upgrading.
Yeah, I think they set it up, and so basically, I believe, and again, I'm not 100% sure of it. Don't hold me to this, but I believe like they set it up so when you pay for your first, you pay for your 4, but your details are ready to go if you want to pay for the 12 and then the 24 afterwards.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, and however they structure the ticketing and all that isn't super relevant, but but it's a cool concept. Because fuck, a lot of people would know the feeling of, oh, I'm going to try this. You know, I did a super. I think I'm ready for a sprint, and there's a race coming up, and it's 6 months away, and you train, and you turn up on the day, and you do the super, and you do it pretty easy. And you're like, fuck, I sort of wish I did the combo, or I wish I did the beast, and then you got to wait 6 months for another event. So it's pretty cool, and it's an interesting event. So. Yeah, super excited about that, and really keen to get more info as that develops, and maybe we'll look at having a live chat closer to, and obviously share any content with me. I'll put it in the FitFam, all that type of stuff. But really exciting. And Jim's saying Matt is correct. Where's Krypteia would not ask anyone to do anything we wouldn't do ourselves. Anyone who knows Bull knows that he does disgusting shit to himself as well, so it's not going to bring anyone any comfort whatsoever. What do you not want people to bring to a hurricane heat, Mick?
Cell phones or mobile phones. That's one thing, because the hurricane heat's about the moment. So watches, we get them to cover them. Cell phones, we want you to be present. Yeah. Don't bring your excuses. Just come. And it's because in the end, it's about that. It's all about that moment, really.
People bring their excuses all the time, though. They usually get sorted out pretty quick.
Absolutely. When it comes to hurricane heat, we're not worried about the life story. It's that moment we want to get you through. So it doesn't matter what you've done, how much full of piss and vinegar you think you are, or how weak you might think you are. Hurricane heat is about right then and there the individual building themselves to be a better for the community.
Yeah, just bring the gear list, guys. Don't not bring the gear list, because if you don't bring the gear list, chances are everyone's going to get punished, and I'll be there, most likely, and I don't want to do more burpees than I have to.
Well, that's the fun part about it, actually. I like about someone that doesn't bring the gear list. Every
Making me
time,
do burpees.
no, well, not to make it your burpees, but it's right then and there. You have like you, Andrew, the storm chasers, the guys, everyone that like does these regularly. You guys bring the extra gear, and you actually literally help out from the get go of the newbies and stuff. People who have not done it before, didn't bring their gear list, didn't have that, and that's the beauty thing about it. In that whole chaos of, oh my god, I don't have the gear list. No, the community is already there helping.
Yeah.
Before we even major do anything truly disgusting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you see that with people who are a little bit more communal with snacks and food and stuff like that. It's cool. It's a cool vibe. Sam, Arsley saying that's killer a whole weekend. She'll volunteer. Sammy Gilchrist would love to try a Hurricane Heat next year. Sammy took out all 3 of her events in the Gold Coast trifecta. Took out the win in her age category in all 3 races. So she's a savage racer. You'd love a Hurricane, Sam. And congratulations on your recent podium at Raw Challenge New South Wales yesterday as well. Solid effort. Jim Bullard is saying yes to Borbor. We will be Hurricane heating down there. Jim saying leave your poor attitude behind. Jim said first 12 hour I turned up late and was missing gear on purpose. Some people just want to watch the world burn, Jim. You are one of those twisted fucking people. Mick, can you think of anything that we haven't covered about the Hurricane Heat? Can you think of anything that you wanted to go over on our chat? We've been going for a little while now. I appreciate everyone who's stuck around for a pretty long chat on a Sunday, Arvo.
Yeah. Not really. I feel like we've gone. I can't say anything more about the Hurricane Heats. Personally, I believe I covered all the meat and potatoes of it. If you haven't done one, you've got to like. It's an experience that is second to none, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And you hear about the stuff we talk about, like we said, the ethos and all those things. Those are the things that we don't say out loud talking like this. It's when you've got experience at it. And once you do, it's a whole different kettle of fish.
I'm glad you just said that, because I was just going to say, if anyone knows the ethos, put it in the comments. And then you said, we don't say it out loud. So I'm like, I'll shut the fuck up then.
Yeah. Yeah, if you know, like, I mean, some people have put it up there, but again, those who know about it know about it. To the others, it's just words. They're just words they're reading. But for people that have been in that moment, they can remember when they had to recite which part of it, when, what were they doing.
It has meaning.
And yeah, it has meaning in the moment, but also has meaning for the future.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
That's what I love about it.
Yeah, Jim saying he was a secret Krypteia. Hurricane Heat is the dislocation of expectations, definitely. Dislocation of expectations. I like that. What's the? There's another way that I usually put that to people. Thwarted expectations.
Yeah,
is the term. Which is cool. That's one of my favorite like hazing parts. Like I always, if I'm starting a hurricane and people are doing it for the first time, they're like, "Oh, what are we gonna do?" I'm like, "Look, they're gonna fuck with us for a bit. Just don't get angry. Just keep your head, because you'll have like Mick will say, "All right, I need you guys to all form up in a rank, run over there, do 15 burpees, and then stand in file, and then the team will go and do that, and then Bull will come over and he'll go, "Why are you guys standing in file? You were told to stand in a rank." And you're like, no, he told us to stand in a file. The Bull's like, no, it was definitely a rank. You're all going to do burpees. You're all going to do a plank hold those fucking buckets above your head until you learn to listen. Now run back over there and stand in a rank, and then you'll run back in a rank, and you'll come over and go, I told you guys a file. Like, we're going to do some planks until you learn it. And it's my favorite fucking bit, because you just watch people start fucking steaming, and then they crack and get snappy, and it's fun. But yeah, thwarted expectations.
Absolutely.
Mate, we did. I think that's pretty much covered most of everything off. Stephen Howarth is saying he might give a HH a try. Definitely do, mate, and definitely let's catch up. I know we've been bouncing messages back a little for a while. We'll definitely catch up at some point, Steve. So if anyone's got any last minute questions before we wrap up, fire them in. We might get around to them. But we did. Obviously, there has been a little bit of stuff happening in the Spartan world lately. We're not going to talk about much of it. Mick, both you and I spoke before this live, saying that we wanted the community to have something positive to talk about, and that was the intent of the talk today. The Hurricane Heat was fantastic at the Gold Coast, and I'm looking forward to more of them. But I will just say that there's a little bit of dispute around the burpees possibly disappearing from races in 2023, and people have different opinions on that, and mine's pretty easy to find if you look for it. But it's definitely going to be the case that burpees will be sticking around in the Hurricane Heat, isn't that right?
Oh yeah, they're not going anywhere. To me, the burpee is. I make my 70-year-old mother do burpees every time we train.
Fuck.
Because to me, the burp it's not because I'm trying to kick her ass. It's because the burpee is the first act every human should be able to do. You've got to fall down and get yourself back up.
Okay.
I had one of her old lady friends in the gym, and they're like, "You make her to do burpees, you so mean." I go, "No, I'm making her fall down and get back up, so then I never have to worry about if she's going to fall over and bust a hip and die. She'll be able to get herself up."
Yeah.
That's what to me the burpee is. It's not about. It's as Bull says, it's not punishment, it's retraining. It's just realizing that you're falling down. Well, you can stay down on the ground if you want, or you just get back up.
For sure. That's what it's all about, mate. And I think that's a pretty good point to wind up on. It's about
the burpees will stop at the Hurricane Heat when I stop doing
them. I'm sure they'll keep going long after that. I think as long as the Hurricane Heat's there, people will be fucking getting down, getting back up again.
Absolutely.
Mate, Mick, thanks for the chat today. It's always a pleasure to catch up. I'll have to get you up here firing the bow. I was out shooting the bow this morning. It's a good time, so we'll have to catch up and do that. Let me know when you're in town. But mate, appreciate you catching up for a chat. I appreciate everyone who's jumped onto the live today. It's good to be back. It's been about a year since we've done a podcast. I do have another live podcast with Geordie Gunn next Saturday, the 5th. I don't know the exact time yet. I do just have to confirm it. But Geordie is the recent winner of the Spartan Gold Coast Beast, the Elites. She's been ripping up true grit courses. She's been ripping up courses all over the country, proving that she can't be stopped at almost any distance. She did UTA 50 yesterday, which was her first mountain trail race, and placed, I think, 9th in that in her category. So just a super exciting race, amazing. Really nice chick, so I'm really looking forward to that chat. So if you like this chat, jump in Saturday afternoon with us and join us for that one as well. And
so she should be doing the Hurricane Heat, is what you're saying? She's got to now step up to the Hurricane Heat.
that standalone weekend, mate. I reckon that's when we're going to get the elites finally. We go, listen, all you fuckers. You don't have a race. Come with us. Join us. About time you people did some burpees too.
Absolutely.
All right, mate. Thanks again, guys. Everyone have a good afternoon. And Mick, you hang around. We'll chat after we go offline.
Sure, mate.
See you.